Okay, so I'm back live on Facebook. Thank you both. Instagram, Instagram was hanging in there. So hopefully it doesn't happen again. But what I was really coming to you all today to talk about was really, I always do all of my polls in my Facebook group about what you all are going through. And recently I had a lot of people who were new to the group who were adding to the poll, and they were saying basically they really need help figuring out what they need to do to research appropriately for an interview. So maybe they feel like their interviewing style is strong. Maybe they feel like their skills are strong. The personal type touch when you're doing your interview, but they don't know how to make sure that they're preparing, that they have the right knowledge going into their interview. So what I'm doing tonight is taking time to show you or tell you what I think the best way is to research for your interview. So there's a lot of great benefits, of course, for making sure that you have done your due diligence, because when you do your due diligence and you know about the company in detail, you really look like a highly intelligent person. You automatically look like somebody who can add value immediately to whatever company it is, because if you come in and you have all this insider information, you can use that to create kind of a novel insight or add suggestions, or appear that you already know what you're talking about before you get in the role. You're trainable, you're understanding, you're knowledgeable, and that gives you such a good way to present yourself in an interview so that individuals want to hire you. So there are 4 ways that I've come up with that you can, 4 different types of research, I should say. Of course, within that, there's so many different ways that you can gain that information. You can gather information that you can leverage later in your interview, but there are 4 main ways that you can research for your interview. So here we go. And thank you to everybody who's on. It looks like I have Shelly and Aaron, and I don't know who King Stu is, but hi. Some of y'all know by name. So, and then hi to Lana and Marion on Facebook. So if you all are on, drop me a comment. Say, hey, I'm watching, and I'm really interested in this. Or if you have any questions while I'm going through this, I definitely want to hear those as well. Follow-up questions or things I maybe didn't address well enough. So the first one is company. So you want to research the company, right? You want to learn about what that company values, what the structure of the company is, what strategic initiatives this company has going on, their mission statement, stories about the company, what people who work there feel like as far as culture and the feel of the environment and everything like that. Because if you go in, let's say for instance it's a cultural thing, like they have a really strong company culture, and they make sure that they only hire people who fit into that culture, right? That's one of the things that people kind of overlook. Like, cultural fit is a huge thing. The Society of Human Resources actually recently published a post about it, that sometimes employers actually rely too much on cultural fit. Because they think if somebody's a better cultural fit, they'll fit in with their team better and they'll be more productive, and it'll all work out for the best because that person is a great cultural fit. So that is just one part of that. And so let's say if you're a very corporate, rigid person, some people are just like that, and it doesn't make them any worse of an employee or not. But they don't look as their coworkers as friends or family and stuff like that, and they like to work in a very corporate environment. There's lots of great companies out there that are that way. I will never be able to work at a company that is that way, and that's my personal opinion. But it's not everybody's, right? And so if I went to this very rigid corporate company, rules, and the whole time I was like, well, I like flexibility, and I like having fun and friends, and a very friendly, family-oriented company. Then you kind of just shot yourself in the foot with that company, right? Because immediately you've told them she might work out skill set wise, but she'll probably never be a good fit for us culture-wise. She won't fit in with our team. She'll be disruptive, whatever that might be. You have to be aware of those light little things that make you a good fit or not, because especially if there's 2 candidates, right? There is the perfect candidate here, and on paper, and there's another perfect candidate on paper, but one of them has like a better personality, a better fit that jives with the company, guess who's going to get the offer letter? It's so clear. And it's not to say that you have to mold or anything like that. You know, it's not that. It's just that you want to make sure that you find a fit, right? And that company also wants to make sure of that. So that's one thing. You just want to find out as much as you can about the company. Also, another good thing outside of like cultural fit is just finding out where the company is. So for instance, if it's a growing company, the company's going through a lot of growth, they're adding a lot of new people, lots of new departments, maybe there's some restructuring in the company, having that inside knowledge to know how you fit in, how you can kind of tailor your interview answers to that is going to be so helpful. So if you kind of know, recently they got a new contract in a certain area, and that's how you think you would be able to contribute to that new contract. That's how you add value. That is amazing to be able to say, to not only impress them that you did enough research about the company to be able to address that specifically, but also they don't have to convince themselves that you can do it. You've told them exactly how you can get the job done, add value, and continue to grow in their company. So that is the first thing, is learn about the company, their values, their history, where they're going, the key players, the leadership, the structure, all those things can come into play when you leverage them correctly in your interview. So if anybody has any more questions about like maybe how to find those things, you know, there's plenty of information online that we are now, you know, we have access to now. You know, there's Glassdoor, there's reviews on Facebook, there's, you know, news articles, and then I'll talk about how to leverage people as well a little bit later. But think about, you know, just ways that you can find access to this information. There's so much. And if you look for it, you do the research, you know, you're looking out for it, you're going to find it. The next thing is to find out about the position. If you go into an interview and you don't know, especially if you had like some other contact with them before the interview, and you don't know anything about your responsibilities, your growth, how this position fits in with the larger picture, the department that you're working in, the manager, the other key players in that department, I'm telling you, it's hard. You should try and get as much of that information as you can. And a lot of times, if you connect with the recruiter, again, I'm gonna talk about that a little bit later, but if you connect with the recruiter and connect with other people, you can find out a lot of these things. You can also find a lot of these things on, you know, employer reviews. And so one of those is, you know, Glassdoor, Indeed, and maybe even Google, right? If there's any reviews on their Google page. So use that to find out more about the position. One of the ways that I really love doing that is through people. So that's the next one. And I want to stop really quick and see if there's like any questions for anybody on the live so far. Please go ahead and drop those in the comments. I definitely want to know, you know, if there's any follow-up questions that we have about this research, because this is what you all asked for, so I want to make sure I don't miss anything. So I don't see any yet, but I know there's a lag, so I will stop if there comes up any questions. Any questions, go ahead. The next one is people. People is almost the best way you can do your research, right? They are going to be able to give you the most inside information, the most detailed information, the best information to give you insight to that position. And not only just for your interview, but to make sure that's a good fit for you. So if you look at somebody who was previously in that role, who's currently in that department, maybe a manager, you know, you're networking, even the recruiter can, if they feel strongly about you, sometimes they'll even give you information to kind of win over the hiring manager or whoever is interviewing you. So you want to make sure that you're leveraging people. And what I mean by that is, I don't mean like, you want to connect with people. You want to find a way to identify with them in a networking type standpoint so that they feel the need to invest time in you. And so a lot of ways that this can be done, as an example in my own life, is I had a career fair that I was going to, that I went to, And, there they have all the recruiters that are basically looking to fill the position. We connected on a great level. It was a really nice conversation, great banter. He was just a cool person to talk to, and I just talked to him like a human, and it was a good conversation. And I guess because of that, he really liked me. He wanted me to get a job with his company. And so he started telling me a lot of things about the interview process. He helped me kind of find another individual in the company who had already applied to this position and was hired. So there were a lot of ways that I used that individual who was the recruiter for the company, but who felt so strongly in me as a candidate that he provided that additional information to help me get a job. So that's one way. Another way is reaching out to people on LinkedIn. Flattery is one of the best ways to leverage people, right? And I don't mean that in a manipulative way, but reaching out to somebody on LinkedIn and says, hey, I noticed that you worked at this company. I've wanted that for so bad. I really admire, you for being in that role, and I just want to kind of learn more about that. Do you have a moment to speak with me, or can I ask you a couple questions? And sometimes people, like I said, appeal to flattery, or it's kind of like their, sense of giving back or helping somebody else out. And you don't want to be aggressive with it, and you don't want to be, you want to be polite and kind and appeal to kind of their, the nurturing side of them, so to speak, so that they want to tell you information. You might be able to find out what's going on in that department, what the real job responsibilities, what they're really looking for, right? Because there's always job responsibilities. There's always things that, on a job description you have to do. But there's another layer to that, right? Not everybody can do the same job. You can do the same thing. You can do the same thing at 5 different companies, and you have to do it a different way because you have to fit in with that company, right? And the fit, like I said, like I keep saying, is one of the most important things. And so if you're selling a proposition of something that the experience that you have. So if you're super good, let's say at a particular coding program, like obviously, maybe the job description doesn't say what type of code specifically that you are required to know to excel in this job. And you spend a large chunk of your interview time talking about, well, I know how to use, JavaScript. I don't know, whatever code is, right? I'm not a tech person in HR, so I just know what I'm looking for. But that being said, if you spend so much time in your interview talking about, oh yeah, I'm just so good at this code, I know that I can fix this for your company, blah blah blah, all of these great things about this code, and they're not. That's like kind of like a secondary thing, like a secondary skill. Like they might like to have it, but really this coding language is what they want. You spent so much time, and you also made yourself not look like the ideal candidate. So just be really aware of that before you go into any interviewing process, that they have, whether it's outlined on that job description or that job ad at all, they have a skill set that they're looking for. They have soft skills and hard skills that they're looking for, right? And that if you don't hit on those things, but another candidate who did their due diligence, who research did, they're the ones who are going to get that position and not you. And so the best way that you can find out all this insider information is to talk to the people in that department, or who have been in that role, or people who are interested in kind of helping you, mentoring you, and just giving you some additional information. So please just go ahead and make sure you start connecting with people at the company that you're looking for in a networking capacity. So if you have not seen my networking blueprint, send me an email, or actually just send me a message, direct message. I'll send you how to sign up to get it. But that's going to help you right there. I'm not going to spend time on the networking because I have a lot of networking resources out there already. But if you don't know where to get started, then let me know. So the last thing is, this is so important, because people underestimate how, again, that connection will yield good results for you in your interview. And so the last thing is to research your interviewer. I don't think many people do that. Or, I mean, I know not every time you have the ability to know who you'll be interviewing with, but a lot of companies will send that out. They want you to know who you're going to talk to. And a simple search, copy paste interviewer's name into Google with LinkedIn, or maybe their email. You'll get so much information about them just maybe from LinkedIn. So one of the individuals that I recently hired, as you all know, I recently, I adopted a pit bull back in January, and he's my sweet boy, and I love him. And so, like, that's a real soft spot for me. I love it because he's a rescue, and I used to foster and everything like that. And I had one of the ladies who was interviewing. She came in, and she had mentioned that she saw that I rescued my dog, and that she was so interested in that that rescue. And how her dog was a rescue dog, although it was from a different rescue, and blah blah blah, and all these different things about her experiences with other animals, that I identified with that. And is it the real reason that she got the job? No, she also had the skill set, but we identified on a level that made me really like her as a person, somebody that I would be interested in working with in the future, just because we connected. And it was, of course, also a form of flattery, because she was like, wow, that's so amazing that you did, that you rescued your dog, and so I'm picking this one thing as an example, but you can do that across the board with other things. Maybe you and the hiring manager have a similar hobby. Maybe you went to the same college. Maybe you volunteer for the same organization. There are so many ways that you can try and connect with that individual in a way that's more than just your interview. And if you're smart about it, you'll weave it into your interview questions. So that's all. That's everything that I have to say. So the 4 ways to research for an interview, to make sure you have all the information, again, to tie this in to your questions, is the company, the position itself, who you're interviewing with, and other people who might be able to give you inside information. So those are the 4 ways. And I just wrote a blog about this. So if you guys want more details, or you're more like a reader and you like kind of taking notes or something like that, I will post the blog. I'll get it out probably tonight. And you all can review that. But I did also want to say that if you're feeling stuck in your job search, right? We all have our different things that we're strong at, right? I'm really strong, like super strong at interview questions. Like, I know exactly, what to say. I think I can read the room and figure out, when the interviewer is feeling like I'm saying something right or the right way, versus when the interviewer is like, I don't really know about how she answered that question. I can quickly kind of pivot and kind of tailor my answers to be what I think the interviewer is looking for. So that's something that I'm really good at. One of the things that I'm not super good at is making sure that I don't like tooting my own horn, right? I don't like being braggy or maybe arrogant, depending on who you are, right? So sometimes it's hard for me to pull out, to kind of toot my own horn, like you said, which you have to do in an interview, right? So I might be able to say the facts and say what I did, but I won't really kind of praise myself in that same time. So there's a lot of ways that overall, we can all improve in our interviewing styles. And I think a lot of ways that, people can do the best to improve is to do mock interviews, and practice makes perfect. And go research interview questions and come up with answers. Search what other people have answered to the same interview questions, and make sure you're making that a concrete answer, and tying all of this information that we have to hear, that we've spoken about, together. So if you have not read, watch my other video. I did have another interview training that was talking about how to answer interview questions in the perfect format, which is called the STAR method. And so I will definitely also reference back to that as well if you need some more assistance. It is in my Facebook group though, so if you're on Instagram or Facebook but you're not in my Facebook group, you'll have to join to watch that video, but it is there for your review. And so I still got a couple people on. Does anybody have any questions? I'm going to pause really quick and see if I get any comments in here about what you can. Oops, sorry, my dog moved it. He's like, I want the rope toy right now. So I'll wait a second, guys. Whoops. He wants the rope toy. And there's the there's the light. I never had technical difficulties, y'all. This is hilarious. Okay, I'm back. All right. So I think you all probably during my my doggy debacle, you probably had enough time to, oh, there he is. He's made an appearance. Look at him. Ah, you guys got to see my dog. So Aaron actually got a comment in on Facebook. He said, when networking on LinkedIn, is there a specific step-by-step process that will best help you stand out to potential employers from introducing yourself to getting a possible recommendation? I would say that, so a lot of times with employee like referrals or getting a recommendation, that's a tricky thing to start out with. I wouldn't start off, Delana said hi, Uno. My dog's having a good night. But yeah, I really wouldn't start out with, he's just not having it. He's like, I'm done. You're done with your live. It's my time now. So I wouldn't really start off with asking a recommendation. I would let that individual bring that up themselves, because a lot of times there is an incentive for them to recommend you, but if they're not sure, they're also putting their professional name out there. So Aaron, what I would do is I would reach out with just a genuine connection, right? And the way that you can do that is, one, by flattery, or some way that you can identify with that person. So let's say I'm applying for a new human resources position at another company, and this individual, I don't know them, but I did notice that we are in a group together. Maybe we're in a local Society of Human Resources chapter together, and I might be able to reach out with them. Hey, I noticed I saw you at one of our recent human resources conferences. I didn't get in touch with you, but I was looking through people who worked at your company, and I'm really interested in working there. I think it's a great company to work for, and I want to learn more information about it. Would you be able to talk with me through LinkedIn, or maybe after our next meeting? That's a super genuine way to make a connection, because one, you've made a way that you're connected outside of just needing information with them. The other way that you've connected is that you've complimented them and the company that they work for. And the other way that you've connected with them is that you've shown them that they can kind of invest in somebody else. People do genuinely like that a lot of the time, because it gives them a sense of fulfillment to be able to help out somebody else. So that's another way. So if you kind of hit on those three things, some way to identify with them, a way to connect, and in a genuine way, and also flattery as well. So there's a lot of different things that you can put in there. You just want to do a short, simple in-mail or connection request, and don't ask for much. Don't ask for recommendation. Don't ask for them to meet you or to tell you, their life story and how they got their whole job. Just ask for a small little thing, just a little bit of information. I'd like to learn more about your position or what it's like working at your company. And if they're really receptive to talking, you'll get more information over time. So I hope I answered your question, Erin. Does anybody else on Instagram or Facebook have any questions? I'm going to wait. I got a while. So, because like I said, I haven't been on the live for a while. So even if you have any other questions that aren't related to this specific topic, I feel like I've neglected you all a little bit just because I've been so busy at work trying to get that job done. So please let me know in the comments if you have any questions. My dog has calmed down. He went and laid in his crate. All right, guys. So my last parting thing for you is, like I said, I'm going to post the link to how to get into my Facebook group so that you can review that other video about how to appropriately answer interview questions. I'll also post a link to add in to how to start networking appropriately. And the last thing I want to say is if you feel like this particular topic is a struggle for you, like you really need help getting your interviewing better, please reach out to me. I'd love to schedule a free coaching call with you. I do 30 minutes coaching just for free to learn more about you and to give you a way to see if long-term coaching is for you. So if this sounds like something that you could really use somebody else's knowledge, feedback, and maybe somebody else to just bounce questions off of to better, tailor your interviewing style, and even, figuring out better ways to research and use that in your interview, I would definitely love to have a coaching call with you. So let me know if you want that. You can send me an email or post in the comments, and I'll see you guys again real soon. I am not going to wait 3 weeks to do another live. I am going to make sure that I'm showing up consistently, and we'll all learn more and be better for it. So I'll see you all next week. Bye.